Are you ready for potentially the weirdest and wonkiest Mercury retrograde of your life? I know I'm mentally preparing myself because that is pretty much what I think, are about to step into. Hello, everyone. My name is Megmoonbeam, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you guys all about this Mercury retrograde in Pisces that we are having from February 26th to March 20th, 2026. For those of you who are meeting me for the first time, I am a Western astrologer, mystic, musician, weirdo from Toronto, Canada. And before we get into the astrology, just want to mention that I do offer personal astrology readings, webinars, courses. I have a premium in astrology called Love membership, all kinds of fun stuff. You can check out all my links and offerings in the description box below. And I really appreciate all of your support for my followers out there, whether you like my videos, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment below to help with the channel's growth, share. It all helps to grow the channel and support me as an independent astrologer. So, oh my God, let's bring up the chart. There is a lot to unpack with this Mercury retrograde. Okay, by the way, I apologize to everyone that was getting ready to watch me do this as a live stream. I had planned to do this as a live stream today. I'm filming this on Wednesday, February 25th. But where I am located in Alberta right now, my husband and I are house hunting in the great land of Alberta. The internet went down, and I was actually doing one of my uncensored astrology horoscopes over on my membership on my website, megmoonbeam.com, and the internet totally cut out, and we had a total Mercury retrograde flip-flop moment. So I appreciate all of my members out there that we remained calm. We got through it. The internet came back up. But I'm not going to take any chances with this video, this other video, because there's a lot that I want to go through, okay? There's a lot to unpack here. We're going to talk about this Mercury retrograde for the collective and each of the 12 signs. So first, let's get into some of the basics of Mercury retrograde, okay? Retrogrades we have often when the planets look like they are moving backwards from our Earth's perspective, but actually they're stationed kind of going backwards in a circle from our Earth's perspective. And when we have planets retrograde, we are going through a period of sacred pause, reviewing and reflection of the areas of life ruled by that planet. There can also, with retrogrades, be a wonky or weird energy. Things are not completely moving forward in that area of life. Now, some astrologers think that when planets are retrograde, we can actually feel their influence even stronger, okay? I definitely do notice this sometimes when planets are retrograde. I can actually feel the influence stronger, even though it's not in a forward moving motion or way. The influence can be very much felt. Now, Mercury retrogrades, we have about 3 Mercury retrogrades in a year. So it's something that happens quite commonly on a regular basis. And so it's not super uncommon to have a Mercury retrograde. What makes this particular Mercury retrograde very uncommon and rare and interesting is the fact that it is happening in its detriment sign of Pisces. Number 1. Okay, so Mercury does not really like to be in Pisces. It is one of its 2 weakest places to be. We're going to talk about why that is specifically in a little bit. And actually 3 things coming to mind. So it's Mercury retrograde and detriment in Pisces. It's at the end of an astrological year. So we are in Pisces season right now. From now, I'm filming this on February 25th, all the way until March 20th, okay? So in the Northern Hemisphere, our natural year starts at the start of Aries season, the spring equinox, and Pisces season before that is the end of our astrological year. So we're at the end of a natural year in the Northern Hemisphere. And So that's a pretty potent time of getting ready for the rebirth of the new year. And third of all, okay, Pisces, the sign that this Mercury retrograde is happening in, its modern day ruler Neptune is conjunct Saturn right now. Granddaddy Saturn. We just had a great Saturn-Neptune conjunction on February 20th at 0 degrees Aries, which is completely unprecedented, completely historic, totally wild, which the effects of that did not just play out on that day, they will play out in the days, weeks, and months to come. Okay, conjunctions, great conjunctions like that have a overarching longing effect. I hope I'm speaking clearly in today's Mercury retrograde video, especially when it's involving Saturn. Okay, so the disposer of this Mercury retrograde, Neptune, is in a great conjunction that hasn't happened for over 6,000 years. We're going to unpack all of this. This is not a normal Mercury retrograde. This is an extraordinary Mercury retrograde that will bring challenge, but it will also bring positive blessings and opportunities and healing. Okay, so we're going to unpack all of this. So also basics when it comes to a Mercury retrograde, this is not the best time to be traveling, if possible. This is not the best time to be making major life decisions, signing your life away, signing a contract, doing mercurial things. It's not the best time to be buying a car, buying a new phone. It's actually a time where it's really good for us to be backing up our devices and getting our cars and our vehicles fixed, and to be reassessing and double checking travel plans if that is going on, okay? It's a sacred pause time, especially when it's in the sign of Pisces, because Pisces rules sacred pause, rest, relaxation behind the scenes. So part of the challenge of this Mercury retrograde is many of us can be already kind of feeling, especially if you're an intuitive empath, that we're moving forward. All of the outer planets are starting to go into air and fire signs. We got the natural new year coming up, Aries season. We're going to have 7 planet stellium in Aries in April. There's a lot of really exciting action motivated things coming up, but not quite yet. Okay. There's still a need astrologically with the astral weather for deep pause, deep reflection, deep healing work, and rest and dream time, okay, and inspiration. So I would advise one of the ways to consciously work with this Mercury retrograde is to not force anything right now and just go with the flow. Plans are probably going to change. There's probably going to be some wonkiness. Okay, hopefully you don't have anything that breaks down. Okay, double check your vehicles, your devices, back them up. Be very careful with everything. Okay, but it's a lot of healing opportunity with this Mercury retrograde. Retrogrades are not punishing us. They're natural times where we need to do some reviewing. We need to do some reflecting. We need to do some changing of how we've been doing things up until this point. Mercury retrogrades, I think, are also a really good time to be cleaning ourselves, physically doing a cleanse in our spaces, cars, homes, offices, cleaning out the energy as well. So we sometimes need to have these times of sacred pause. And as I said, there's a lot to unpack with this Mercury retrograde. So let's talk positives first, okay? Great time to be cleaning yourself physically, your spaces around you. Great time for spiritual work, deep prayer, meditation, healing, reflection, taking a step back, going behind the scenes. This is not a good time to be like forcing yourself out there and every day on social media. Here's what I had for breakfast and lunch, and here's exactly what I think about this thing right now, and here's what I think about this over here. Not a good time for that. Okay. I'm seeing like psychically the bear in hibernation that is getting ready for the spring that is soon to come and the leaving of the den and the hibernation that is soon to come, but you're not quite at that phase yet. There's still more rest needed. There's still more reflection needed. So a way to positively, consciously work with this retrograde is make time for deep rest and reflection and healing work if there's anything that you've been struggling with. Particularly Pisces in astrology has to do with our karma and our addictions and our subconscious. So this is a great time to work with unconscious patterns, addictions, negative behaviors that no longer serve us, also illusions and karmic attachments as well. Mercury retrograde in Pisces is also an amazing time for behind the scenes creative work, working on things at home or in a place that is not super public, whether that's literally doing artsy fartsy art pieces or music or film or photography or working on any sort of project, channeling your creativity in that way. And Mercury retrograde in Pisces is also very powerful for dream work. Dreaming. Many of us are going to be having very vivid dreams during this transit. Profound spiritual, psychic phenomena, messages, insights, downloads coming through, and in particular, during your dream time, during your rest time. Not the best time, Mercury's retrograde in Pisces for medical appointments, okay, if possible, but it is a good time to reflect and become conscious of if there is something physically or mentally that you need to be taken care of that needs more attention, to maybe move forward with that when Mercury goes direct March 20th and onwards. So those are some of the positives of this Mercury retrograde. And I am going to go through all the 12 signs. We're going to talk about all the 12 signs. Let's talk about some of the challenges, okay? Because Mercury does not like to be in Pisces, let's be honest. And if you were born with Mercury in Pisces, that doesn't mean you're bad. I have multiple planets that are at detriment or fall positions in my personal astrology chart. And yes, it definitely makes for challenges in those areas of life that planet rules. But I also notice that there are great blessings that can come with those detriment and fall positions. It's kind of weird. Same with any kind of transit. But Mercury in Pisces, we see a lot of great spiritual philosophers and guides that have Mercury in Pisces, creatives, poets, musicians, filmmakers that have Mercury in Pisces. It's a very soft, creative, loving, empathic, and spiritual placement in astrology. So there's gifts that can come up in those areas of life. But Mercury, the planet that rules the mind, communication, short distance travel, our day-to-day activities and gadgets. Mercury rules a lot of stuff, you guys. It's our day-to-day life, okay? That's why it feels so weird for most of us when Mercury is retrograde. And I do notice that people born with Mercury retrograde don't have it as bad as those of us that were born with Mercury direct. I noticed that with a lot of people. Let me know in the comments if you experience that as well. But yes, for most of us, we will be feeling strange during this Mercury retrograde in Pisces. Even though there's positives that can come with it, this is a very strange transit because Mercury wants common sense, clarity, truth, walking down the street and getting to a place on time. Mercury is the streets and your local environment, getting to your appointment on time, having your laptop work so you can do your work, being able to make a phone call so you can get things done. Pisces rules confusion, illusion, lies, deception, mind control, psyops, brainwashing, things that are not real, hidden enemies, missing people and things, disappearances, invisibility, karmic undoing, high sensitivity, oversensitivity. So Pisces is really interesting because it's arguably the most magical sign in astrology. It's the last sign. It's the 12th sign that rules the spirit world, the magical world, the fairies, and even has to do with aliens and other dimensionals and all that is not of this earth. But the sign of Pisces has a challenge here on earth because we are a physical realm, right? So it's how do we balance between the mundane and the spiritual with Mercury retrograde in Pisces also. There can definitely be a very big theme during this Mercury retrograde in the collective and each of our personal lives with confusion, okay? Pisces rules confusion. Mercury is the mind. So again, not a very good time to make major decisions or completely set your mind on, this is the way that this thing is going and I have the total clarity of this. The total clarity for all of us around what the fuck, excuse my language, is actually going on here is not coming until after the spring equinox. It is not coming until we enter Aries season. Okay, look at the chart. We have a stellium of planets in Pisces. Mars is going to be moving into Pisces on March 2nd, the day before the lunar eclipse in Virgo. We're going to talk about that. That will be very affected by this Mercury retrograde in Pisces. We're in Pisces season with the stellium of planets in Pisces and Mercury retrograde in Pisces. So this is, I'm hearing Spirit say, this is a la land. This is why Jens and I made the thumbnail for today's video. Me is Alice in the Trippy Dippy Wonderland. This is what the fuck is going on, okay? And most of us are going to be feeling really tripped out, possibly confused, and overly sensitive about something. We're going to go through each of all the 12 signs in a little bit. Now, what specifically? Okay. There is most likely, and we're already seeing it, leading up to this Mercury retrograde, which, by the way, I think I said this already, starts Thursday, February 26th, goes until Natural New Year, spring equinox, March 20th. We're going to have psyops. We're going to have psyops. I'm hearing psyops upon psyops. Now, many of you will know that astrology is real. If you've gotten this far in this video, unless I'm your entertainment for today and you think that I'm freaking crazy, ha 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 ha, most of you will probably know that the astrology is very real. It is a spiritual science, okay? This is something that got demonized in the Middle Ages. We had the witch trials. Why? Because the dark cult does not want us to use astrology because it's real. So astrology is used by good and bad, right? And there are, I'm going to say, definitely more nefarious forces right now that are looking at this astrology and they're going, this is the perfect freaking time to do potentially a fake alien invasion, lies about our cosmic history, lies about aliens, UFOs, UAPs, which have to do with Pisces, okay? Because Pisces is that which is not of this world, which can include other dimensions, it can include aliens, it can include paranormal phenomena, ghosts, spirituality. Be very, very mindful and discerning, everyone. What gets released having to do with spirituality, psychics, ETs, other dimensions, other worlds during this Mercury retrograde in Pisces. Okay? There may be some slivers. Oh my God, I always have such a hard time talking when Mercury goes retrograde. Sorry, guys. Slivers of truth. But there will be some bullshit as well. And what's so dark about these people that have been controlling the world ever since the fall of Atlantis, people, whatever the hell they are, you know, hybrids, whatever the heck they are, they prey on our weaknesses, and they are losing power and they are not going to win. So thank God for that. We're already seeing this. They prey on our weaknesses. Spirit is saying one of the ways that the dark manipulates us, and this is so just, not cool, they prey on our weaknesses. And what's one of our weaknesses? We don't have the whole truth of our history, ETs, aliens, the spirit world, our real multidimensional selves, right? Ever since the fall of Atlantis, and we've been in this age of fall, there's many different names for it, a darker age, right? We've lost connection to our spiritual side as a collective. And they know that. And so this Mercury retrograde in Pisces, they're going to prey on the weakness that we have of, if you're into the alternative and the woo-woo, like my inner child wants to have, let's release all the real files of UFOs and aliens and frickin' the psychic spies and all that stuff and all the cryptids. That would be a dream if it were real and if it were coming from a positive intention, okay? But the astrology is showing right now, there's something that is not of a positive intention that is trying to pull one over on us or pull multiple things over on us, having to do with our spirituality, our souls, who we truly are, our star family. Pisces also rules in astrology assassination. Rules many different things, but also rules assassination. There's many different assassinations that happen all over the world all the time. But of course, one of the most recent notable assassinations was Charlie Kirk, right? So, and I'm getting this message that there's actually, and maybe this has to do with the dispositor of this Mercury retrograde. There's two. There's Jupiter, which is the traditional ruler. There's Neptune, which is the modern ruler. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. Yes, he's retrograde, but it's like, there's something about, there are some things coming out that are true and revelations about these Pisces ruled areas, but there's also at the same time psyops and lies and deception. And I'm just seeing spiritually, red flag, like it is not all real. So when it comes to the spiritual, the paranormal, the ETs, assassinations, missing people, Pisces, disappearances, not everything is going to be accurate. And all truths will be revealed in time. Okay? I know some of you guys don't like to hear me say this, but again, Trump's astrology is being activated by this Mercury retrograde in a very intense way. If you haven't seen, I put out on my membership on megmoonbeam.com an astrology special on Trump and USA astrology for 2026. One of the things that he's got going on is his 8th house. Let me show this to you guys. Bear with me 1 second here. His 8th house of Scorpio, guess what it's ruled by? 22 degrees of Pisces, which is exactly where this Mercury retrograde starts. So here's President Trump's chart. His 8th house of Scorpio, death, extremes, traumas, secrets being revealed, starts at 22 degrees of Pisces. This retrograde will be from 22 degrees of Pisces, I think it's all the way until 8 degrees of Pisces, right on his 8th house cusp. So again, if you watch my astrology special where I went uncensored, where there's certain things I can't say on YouTube and Rumble, that's why I did it on my platform. there's a lot of astrological markers here that something very intense could possibly happen to Trump. Now, I don't want anybody to suffer. I don't want him to die. I don't want him to get assassinated. I don't want him to get poisoned. I don't want him to have a death that looks like a medical issue, but actually it's something else. I'm just saying. Okay, there are definitely attacks going on towards him right now, whether we are seeing that out in the open or not. He recently just had an assassination attempt just a few days ago at Mar-a-Lago, and the person who tried to do the assassination attempt, Pisces rules assassination, got killed on the spot, supposedly. Okay, that's what we're being told. That might not even be real. Here's another thing, Mercury retrograde in Pisces, it's going to really trip us out. What is even real anymore? Right? So we're going to be seeing really big world events where a lot of us are confused as to what is even going on here? What is even real? Like, right? And Trump's chart is being really activated. There's going to be an extreme. There's going to be an intensity. 8th house cusp. Then it goes into his 7th house for most of the retrograde of his allies, people that he works with, marriage, love, contracts, agreements. So issues, Mercury retrograde with contracts, co-workers, committed relationships, miscommunications. Anything else I want to say about that? Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, his 8th house of Scorpio is ruled by Pisces at 22 degrees. Okay, and that is the to kill or be killed degree. That's all I'm going to say about that. Moving on. Okay, another world leader, Mark Carney. Do I have his chart on my program? Come on, I thought I had his chart. Okay, 1 second, everybody, let me bring this up. Okay, I got up the Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney's chart, who is having this Mercury retrograde really activate his chart, like big time, holy smokes, holy frickin' guacamole. Okay, so he's got Pisces stellium, of course, in the 12th house, of course, which rules secret societies. That's another thing Pisces rules. Secret societies. As I said, what's done behind the scenes. Secrets can also be really horrific things. Victimhood and slaves. And sorry, this is getting really dark here, but Pisces is a beautiful sign, but it also rules some pretty messed up things in life, which I think Mark Carney has been involved in some pretty strange things. He's a very high level globalist, if you know anything about him. So Mercury retrograde from 22 degrees of Pisces to 8 degrees of Pisces the entire time is either in a conjunction to his Sun, Venus, Chiron, Saturn, or in an opposition to his Mars, Pluto, Moon, Uranus, all in Virgo, the opposite sign. And the lunar eclipse in Virgo on March 3rd is exactly conjunct his Uranus, conjunct his Moon and his Pluto. Okay. Astrologically, for Mark Carney, and I'm also going to bring up Canada's chart in a moment because Canada has major Pisces placement too. He is both many world leaders. Sorry, I'm going in a different direction here, but the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, Neptune being the modern day ruler, dispositor of this Mercury retrograde in Pisces, that Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Aries is the dissolving of leaders, governments, politics, new ones being born. We're going through this very strong for the whole next year, particularly 2 to 3 month period. And Trump is going to be affected. There will be changes with him. I don't want anything bad to happen to him, just saying. And Mark Carney, definitely. I think with Mercury retrograde over his 12th house, conjunct his Pisces placements, in an opposition to his Virgo placements, there is going to be some weird ass secrets, information, possible crimes, hopefully I don't have my YouTube shut down for saying this, having to do with him, which could maybe lead to a election for Canada. I'm not a political expert, but I've heard a lot of people talk about there could potentially be a spring or summer 2026 election for Canada. I would not be surprised because his transits are so activated right now in a very intense way of secrets coming out, possible crimes, his ties to secret clubs or societies or groups. This is big things coming up having to do with him being exposed for something. And it's a yucky energy. This is like a very challenging energy for Mark Carney. And to be honest with you, I'm surprised that he's even made it this far as Canada's Prime Minister. And I don't think he is going to be in that position for a very long time. Okay, there's some sort of major ending, completing, exposing, having to do with him. There could even be a health issue that comes up as well. Pisces and Virgo both have to do with health issues. And also, I don't think I mentioned this yet, Pisces has to do with prisons, prisoners going to prison, what happens in prison. So we might see maybe more truth coming out or a psyop trying to be pushed about what happened to Jeffrey Epstein in prison, what's going on with Ghislaine Maxwell in prison. When are we going to see people that have done all of these horrible acts go to prison? Okay, there might be a psyop of somebody being sent to prison that they're not actually in prison, right? So prisons are going to be highlighted as well, prisoners. And the third kind of mundane astrology thing I wanted to show you guys too is for the chart of Canada here. Canada has its Chiron, South Node, Jupiter in Pisces, North Node in Mars and Virgo that will all be strongly aspected by this Mercury retrograde as well. Over the same houses as Mark Carney. Interesting. The country of Canada, the Prime Minister of Canada. Over the 12th house and 6th house. Again, 12th house, all the Pisces ruled areas of life that I have talked about. Secrets, secret societies, what went on behind the scenes, the health field. I'm getting the download about MAID. For those of you who don't know, in Canada, the leading cause of death right now is what's it called? Self-assisted, can I say this word? SUICIDE. I don't know if I can say that on YouTube, but it's very easy for Canadians to do that to themselves with the MAID program that's going on. There might be more revealed about that. Definitely the health system, things coming out about the health system reform, jails, somebody maybe needing to go to a jail that's Canadian or being threatened to go to jail. So Canada will be very highlighted once more. Again, but no matter where you are in the world, okay, again, this is a Mercury retrograde to be discerning, mindful of your energy. Don't believe everything you see, especially if it is coming from a screen ruled by Pisces, TV, phone, projector, all that kind of stuff. And it can feel confusing. It can feel ungrounded. You can be feeling that yourself. People around you can also be feeling kind of weird. Days that I want to mention in particular during this Mercury retrograde period that will be very pronounced will be Mars square Uranus Day, February 27th. Okay, that's a very intense astrological aspect happening the day after this Mercury retrograde begins. Mars square Uranus could be some kind of explosion going off. And again, I don't want this to happen, but a bomb going off, volcano, earth events that are explosive, potential attack somewhere. Again, Mercury retrograde in Pisces. Is it real? Is it not real? What the heck is going on? That is very intense aspect. And again, aspecting Trump's astrology, very much so. So President Trump, watch out for yourself, because I don't wish any harm or attack on anybody. We're going to have the full moon lunar eclipse March 3rd in Virgo. Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Mercury, the dispositor of that eclipse, in retrograde in Pisces. So it's not just the Virgo ruled areas of life really highlighted with that lunar eclipse, which is our health, day-to-day work, our pets, our organization, our schedule, our mental, physical health, all those Virgo things. It's also very much themes of the ruler of Virgo, Mercury retrograde in Pisces. And, certain groups like to do big events around eclipse seasons. Watch out for a psyop this eclipse season, particularly on March 3rd, 2nd, 4th, having to do with some of those Pisces themes that I mentioned. Okay? ETs, UFOs, UAPs, things that seem too good to be true. That's also Pisces. Pisces is the fantasy. Pisces is, what's that tarot card? The tarot card, the cups, where it's like things that can look good. Like in the negative side, it's things that are too good to be true. Let me know, my tarot friends. Too many astrology things on my brain right now. But be mindful with that eclipse, March 3rd, of things being projected onto us that might be like too good to be true, a fantasy or a make-believe. Don't just believe something at face value, okay? That lunar eclipse is going to be intense, can feel very sensitive for many of us, can be many of us also questioning our identity of who we are, what the heck is going on. Saturn-Neptune conjunction, still in a very strong conjunction with that eclipse as well. And that lunar eclipse in Virgo is the eclipse after we had the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. The one we had February 17th was before we had the conjunction. Interesting. We also have some really positive aspects during this Mercury retrograde. Mercury conjunct Venus, February 28th. I'm just looking at my handy dandy astrology calendar that Sunny and I made here, which, by the way, our updated one, Cosmic Alignment Astro Calendar, will be out next week. So stay tuned for that, for the new natural new year. Yes, some positive aspects. Mercury Cazimi, March 7th, Mercury conjunct Venus, Mercury trine Jupiter, March 9th. Mercury conjunct Mars, March 15th, that's another day to watch out for. That can be really like Mercury conjunct Mars, March 18th. Let me actually bring up the chart for that. People can be maybe really overactive or hyped up around that time. So Mercury retrograde in Pisces, 10 degrees conjunct Mars, 10 degrees in Pisces. Yeah, this is, watch out for acting on impulse on your sensitivity or fears. Or if there is a world event going on, don't make a decision out of fear. Again, I keep hearing Spirit say, don't believe everything you see during this Mercury retrograde in Pisces. This is a really good time for retreat, deep rest, creativity, focusing on your inner world. And I know it sounds corny, but we really are the change that we want to see out in the world. You don't have to be up to date every single freaking moment with what's going on out there, when what's going on out there isn't even totally real or clear at the moment. It's better to focus your energy inward on yourself, your health, your loved ones, your creativity, your passions, your purpose. Okay. And then, of course, the Mercury retrograde ends on the astrological new year. So I love that on March 20th, I hope Mercury's direct before the actual equinox. I didn't check that yet. Let me check that. Let's see. Thank God. Okay, so this is the chart for our astrological new year, March 20th. What we have to look forward to, we're starting the natural new year in the Northern Hemisphere with a very clean slate. Mercury goes direct, will be direct by that point. and all planets are direct until beginning of May. So this is awesome. So this is a great time to prepare yourself, rest, recoup, reflect. Awesome time from March 20th to I think it's May 4th, if I'm remembering correctly, for starting new things, moving forward, action, gaining more clarity. And look at that. That's interesting. On the day of the astrological new year, when Mercury goes direct, Mercury conjunct the North Node. Whoa. So this is like, there's a full circle. There will be a full circle moment when we get to the end of this Mercury retrograde. It feels like a spiritual, and I know I'm using this word a lot lately, but it's like an initiation we're going through. We have to go through this retrograde. There is a sharpening of our discernment, our inner truth, a rebalancing of our energies needed, great healing, and it will feel like we've turned a corner, we've had a full circle moment by the end of this. Is there anything else? I feel like there's so much to this Mercury retrograde. Is there anything else I want to share about this? Prayer, meditation, relaxation. We talked about that. Great time for a spa day, going to a spiritual retreat, visiting sacred sites. Again, focusing on your inner world. And one of my favorite sayings is observe, don't absorb. So if people during this time, particularly if you're a Pisces major placement or a mutable major placement, between 22 to 8 degrees of the mutable signs, you will be feeling this the most. That, of course, is our Pisces, Virgos, Geminis, and Sagittarius. Be mindful of that. See where you have 22 degrees of Pisces to 8 degrees of Pisces in your personal chart. That's the area of life being the most affected. Don't take things personally if people act weird or like things they're doing doesn't make any freaking sense, because that's the downside of Pisces. Things that make no freaking sense at all, okay? Like la la land energy. So don't take on other people's la la land, wonderland that makes no sense. Yes, there are rabbit holes that we can go down and will be opened up, but we don't want to get consumed by them when we don't have in the astro weather the full clarity yet of what's going on. And I know that that can be frustrating to hear, and I know that I've been saying that for a long time, but I promise you guys, when we get into that spring equinox point, going into Aries season, more clarity is coming. Thank God. Okay, let's pull a card or two or three for this Mercury retrograde for all of us, and then I'm going to buzz through the 12 signs. And we'll see what we got going on for the 12 signs. Okay, universe, creator, all that supports us for our highest good. What is our guidance for this Mercury retrograde in Pisces? I'm getting enjoy it. I'm getting like enjoy yourself, enjoy the ride, remember to laugh, don't take things so personally, don't take things so seriously. Because there will be some people like really overly sensitive to what's going on or really confused. So I'm hearing like, buckle up, put your grounding boots on, get grounded, because we're going to be needed to have our shit together during this next little period. Okay, Ace of Swords reversed. 8 of Swords reversed. 6 of Pentacles reversed. Reversed, retrograde. And the Queen of Cups, upright. Okay, yes. So you can't make this stuff up. Literally what I've been talking about. Lack of clarity, okay? We don't have all the answers right now. I'm sorry I keep repeating that, but I guess I have to keep repeating that. lack of clarity. So act accordingly. Okay? This is not the time where it is all clear out in the world or even in our personal lives. So be gentle with yourself. And there is a freedom in that. Part of the spiritual initiation of that is freedom to let go of over control and maybe be open to new perspectives that we couldn't see earlier. And things are working out in our favor when we go with the flow. Six of Pentacles reversed. That's interesting because that can be possible, like financial markets being affected in a challenging way. I'm also getting the message like people putting off that they're giving, putting off that they have our backs, putting off that they're for Team Freedom, but actually they might be the complete opposite. So again, discernment when it comes to anything having to do with finances, investments, work opportunities, financial side. And Queen of Cups upright, be open to receive the healing and nurturing you need. So, I mean, literally these cards are just affirming what is in alignment, healing, nurturing yourself, nurturing others, but fill your cup up first, creativity, imagination, being in the feminine. This is a time of feminine. This is feminine. Pisces is a feminine sign. Stellium of planets in Pisces. When we go into Aries season, that's all masculine. Moving forward for the whole rest of the year, other than when we're in a water sign, sun sign season, or certain days where the moon is in a water sign, or the other two retrogrades this year will be in water signs, it's masculine, baby. It's masculine. It's full steam ahead. So this is your last little time of where you can chill and be very strong in that feminine energy astrologically, be receptive, do deep healing work, because for much of the rest of the year, it's where action is needed. A lot of movement, a lot of action, a lot of change at once, a lot of our masculine side needed to be used. Okay, so this is a time of embracing the feminine. Okay, let's go through each of the 12 signs, and I invite you to listen to your sun and rising. Most importantly, you can also listen to your moon sign for more personal, emotional, private life predictions as well. Why is this? Oh, March 20th. I'm going to change this to February 26th. Okay, there we go. Here we go. We're going to start with our Aries. And let me know in the comments. I'm curious to hear from you all. How are we feeling? What are your spidey senses saying about this Mercury retrograde? What is your intention about this Mercury retrograde? Okay, Aries, Aries, Aries. You are having this Mercury retrograde happening in your 12th astrological house, the house of Pisces, okay? So Aries, this is definitely a time of, I'm hearing deep pause, reflection, timeout is needed. Aries need a timeout, okay? Aries, maybe you're already in a timeout. Maybe there's been a life circumstance that has forced you to have to take a break or a pause, or you feel like there's a delay. Aries, this is, it's interesting, I'm hearing that word, time out. Take a break, take a pause. Everything I talked about, ruled by Pisces in particular, that is in alignment for you to be embracing this Mercury retrograde in Pisces. You may be having very profound dreams, psychic sense activation, very good for creativity, any sort of spiritual work, and make time for deep, deep rest. And if you're feeling overly sensitive, because this is the house of overly sensitive energies, take a little time out. Go on a little time out. Take a break. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? Good time for you to maybe go for a spa day, do deep healing work. Okay, we just had Saturn, Neptune conjunct in your sign. Very intense astrology in your sign. Aries are going through it right now. So make time to process whatever is coming up for you in life and be honest and real with yourself and move past any illusions, lies that you may be telling yourself that aren't real, and get grounded. Okay. Love you, Aries. Next, we've got our Taurus. Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Risings. We're having this Mercury retrograde happening in our 11th astrological house. So this Mercury retrograde is bringing an invitation to review, reflect when it comes to our friendships, our group associations, our long-term goals, dreams, and wishes. For many Tauruses, there may be a friend or a work partner that might be like going through a lot at the moment, might be going through an overly sensitive time or maybe some mental health issues, and we are needed to be in a supportive role. Now, remember to fill your cup up first before needing to help others, as this is a very overly sensitive and emotional time. There could be, with Mercury retrograde in Pisces in your 11th house, you may be realizing some truths about some people or groups that you've surrounded yourself with. There may be a rebalance needed in who you're surrounding yourself with, your relationship to technology, 11th house. Taurus, for the love of God, be very careful what you post online during this Mercury retrograde in Pisces. 11th house is social media, online, the internet. Not the best time to be like going on a rampage about something. Be open, be as neutral as possible. Okay, don't like to tell you guys what to do, but just saying there can be more of miscommunication when it comes to things having to do online, technological issues. So back up your computer, your phone, all that kind of stuff. And again, really good time to reassess your long-term goals, wishes, and dreams, and pay attention to any dreams that come up that maybe have to do with your future. Okay, Taurus, sending lots of love your way. Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Risings, you are having this Mercury retrograde in Pisces in your 10th astrological house. So Gemmies, it is affecting your work, your professional life. If you are a working Gemini, boy or girl, man or woman, okay? So Mercury retrograde in the 10th, there can be more likelihood for issues at work, miscommunication with a boss, miscommunication with a parent or elder. Watch out for that. Not a good time to be making major decisions when it has to do with work or releasing a big project, starting something new. Work-wise, it is a good time to reassess your work, to clean out your work or your office space, to reflect on what is your purpose, what is your sense of responsibility personally and out in the world as well. Okay. And anything that has to do with being publicly seen, the 10th house, your public reputation, you want to really watch out for what you're putting out there, communication wise. Okay. There could be some ideas that you have for work that actually it's something that might be an illusion or might not be, the best way of going about things, but it is a good time to bring more creativity into the workspace. Sending lots of love your way, Geminis, and see you next time. Okay, Cancers, how's it going? You are having this Mercury retrograde in Pisces happening in your 9th house. Cancers, you've got Pisces, a sign that rules long distance travel and faraway places in the 9th house of travel and also faraway distant places. So Cancers, be really, really careful if you are going to be traveling. Not the best time to be traveling, but of course life happens. And if you need to be, double check, triple check everything. Okay, there can be more of a likelihood for delays or a suitcase going missing or something not going to completely to plan. So being very mindful of travel. Mercury retrograde in your 9th house in Pisces is asking you to reassess your beliefs, teachers, guides, subjects you're learning, legal issues. There could maybe be a delay if there are legal issues going on. So don't force anything legally during this Mercury retrograde time. Also, not a good time to be starting a new course or workshop or learning something really in depth. Maybe wait until Mercury goes direct after March 20th. But it is a great time for Mercury retrograde in the 9th for deep reflection, philosophical thinking, meditation, thinking about your relationship to expansion and the spiritual and your higher consciousness as well. So Cancers, sending lots of love your way. Let me know how you're doing. Leos, you're going to be having this Mercury retrograde in Pisces in your 8th astrological house. So this is, pretty intense. You got Pisces seasons, telling the planets transiting over your 8th house, including Mercury retrograde there. There can be thoughts, secrets coming up, okay, that have to do with maybe traumas that you've been through or fears or your shadow side. I think this is a really great time for Leo, Sun, Moon, and Risings to be doing some very deep healing work with Mercury retrograde in your 8th house. Maybe doing some therapy, spiritual psychotherapy, shamanism, looking into your astrology, getting an astrology reading, tarot reading, balancing that spiritual with the mundane side, because there's likely a lot of in-depth healing opportunity coming up for you at this time. Also, Mercury retrograde in your 8th house, not the best time for investments, hidden money, merged resources. So could be delays if you're working on things financially. Maybe wait for any major financial decisions until after the Mercury retrograde, March 20th, moving forward. Be very mindful of investments. I'm not a financial advisor, but I wouldn't advise making new investments during this time. And I do think it's intense for you guys, but I do think it's bringing in some really great reflection and healing opportunities for you. So sending lots of love your way, Leos. See you next time. Okay, next we have our Virgos. Virgos, you are having this Mercury retrograde in Pisces happening in your 7th house of your relationships, contracts, obligations, aesthetic, okay? So this is where Virgos, there can be more of a likelihood for miscommunication or wonkiness with your loved ones in your life, particularly with a lover or with a work partner or with, 7th house is also people we do things for, such as our clients, if you work with clients, or people that do something for us, such as a therapist or astrologer or lawyer, things like that. So just being very mindful of your relationships, communication, documentation with those. Also, not the best time during Mercury retrograde for beauty appointments, okay? Getting a new wardrobe. It's actually a good time to clean out your closet, clean out your bathroom and your clothes and, your beauty accessories and all that kind of stuff. It's a very good time for cleaning in your aesthetic area of life, in your relationships, in your obligations, reflecting on what are you contracted to, what are you obligated to at this time. And there may be some secrets or things being revealed about people in your life or other people that might be going through a very sensitive time where you're needed to be in a supportive role, Virgo. So just be mindful of that. Remember to fill up your cup first before, helping somebody else. We will be all very sensitive during this time. So sending lots of love your way, and have a happy Mercury retrograde. Next, we've got our Libra, Sun, Moon, and Risings. Libra, you are having this Mercury retrograde in Pisces happening in your 6th astrological house. And, you know, Mercury actually likes to be in the 6th house. The 6th house is the Virgo-ruled areas of life. Mercury rules the sign of Virgo, but Mercury is retrograde at detriment here. So this is a time, Libras, to be more mindful of your health than usual. Some Libras might get sick or have a health issue that comes up. I'm not wishing that upon any of you guys. Just saying astrological weather, you need to be more mindful and careful with your health. Watch out for burnout. Watch out for what you're eating. Not a very good time to be taking in substances or alcohol or like over partying or overdoing it. There can be more of a likelihood for burnout. Astrological remedy, I think, would be doing like foot soaks, taking salt baths, reflexology. Pisces in medical astrology is the feet. Also rules water, lymphatic massage, sound healing, sound baths can be all really good things. Also, Mercury retrograde in your 6th house can have to do with your day-to-day work office space, more likelihood for some miscommunication at work. So be mindful of that, or issues with coworkers, employees, but good time to clean out the office. So that's what I've got for you, Libras. Sending lots of love your way, and have a happy Mercury retrograde. Scorpios, you are going to be having this Mercury retrograde happening in your 5th astrological house of Leo-ruled areas. So Scorpios, this is interesting because, okay, there's some definitely wonkiness, but there's also some fun that can come with this. We have Pisces in our 5th house of fun and play and creativity. So for Scorpios, this can actually be a time where it's inviting us to bring more fun and play into our lives, okay? Highly creative time as well. Time where it's good to check in with our inner child, spend time with children in our life doing something fun or magical. Also, Mercury retrograde there in the 5th house can sometimes bring up lovers from the past, people from the past, temptations from the past. So Scorpios, be very mindful of that. You've got Venus and Mercury transiting over your 5th and a stellium of planets over the 5th of love and dating and romantic suitors and sexual affairs. So just be very mindful of whether it's anybody from the past or anybody new coming forward that maybe seems too good to be true, because that might be the case, okay? And not the best time to be starting a new love relationship until after the spring equinox when Mercury is direct. So just saying. Also be mindful of your investments. 5th house is one of the investment houses. What you're spending, risky investments, not the best time for that. So just saying. Lots of love to you, Scorpios, and have a very happy Mercury retrograde. Okay, Sagittarius, you are having this Mercury retrograde in Pisces in your 4th astrological house of your home and your family and your emotions. So Sagittarius, this is a time where there may be change happening to your home environment or your family. This is a great time to be cleaning out your home, cleaning out your home office, maybe it's doing some feng shui, spiritual conscious activity in the home, 4th house. I love that for you guys right now. Mercury retrograde in the 4th can bring more issues with like things going missing or disappearing in the home. You put something somewhere, it's not there, it pops up somewhere completely different. So be mindful of like lost keys, lost clothing, missing objects, all of that kind of stuff. Can be more miscommunication possible with family members, or if there's anybody working out of the home. Not the best time for renovations or major home changes. So just being mindful of that. But it is good, again, to clean out the home, reevaluate the living space, evaluate your emotional well-being. Fourth house is our emotions, how you're feeling that way, and what can you bring in more of to emotionally fill up your cup more. Sending lots of love your way, Sagittarius, and have a very happy Mercury retrograde. Capricorns, you are having this Mercury retrograde in Pisces in your third house. Okay, so this is one of the two houses that Mercury rules. Third house is the Gemini ruled areas of life. Mercury is the ruler of Gemini, and Mercury is at detriment here. So Mercury retrograde in our third house, my fellow Capricorn placements, we need to be very careful of our communication in person, online, through social media, documentation. I call the third house the busy house because it is a Mercury ruled house. It rules our day-to-day life. Mercury is at home here. So Capricorn, you will be one of the signs probably most affected by this Mercury retrograde. This is where the astrology is helpful because just being mindful of that, if you listened to me earlier, there was a message coming through at the beginning of this video of take things lightly. Let's be playful with this energy. There will probably be some funkiness coming up, but we can laugh through it. We can have fun through it. It's also inviting us to not take ourselves so seriously. Be very mindful of short distance travel at this time, anything that has to do with cars or vehicles or traveling for that matter. Capricorn, I'm just going to say this is a time to lay low. Okay? Lay low. I know you're busy bees. I know you like to work and always be doing something, but lay freaking low. And if you are going to be writing something or you are going to be communicating something, I'm having spirit say like the astrological remedy is do it in a Pisces way. Do it alone, behind the scenes, in a corner, just kidding. Could be in a corner, doesn't have to be in a corner, but like in a spiritual space with your crystals. If you're going to write, if you're going to communicate, do it in a sacred manner. Pisces as an astrological remedy for having this retrograde in your third house. I hope that makes sense. How I just say that, double check, triple check, everything, go with the flow, and can be really good for creative writing, can be really good for poetry, songwriting, any sort of creativity, healing your voice, healing your throat chakra. So some things for you to focus on astrological homework during this time. Okay, sending lots of love to you guys and happy Mercury retrograde. Aquarius, sun, moon, and risings, you are having this Mercury retrograde in your second astrological house of your values, your self-worth, finances, physical resources. So you're one of the signs, Aquarians, that it is actually good for you to be cleaning out your physical resources, home, physical objects around you, maybe doing some feng shui can be really good. This is a great time for reassessing your finances, can be good for budgeting. Now, I would double check everything after the Mercury retrograde if you are going to be doing some budgeting, but re-looking at what you're spending, not a good time to be making major purchases during this retrograde time. Reflecting on how you want to make money moving forward, how you want to be abundant moving forward is something that can be coming up for you as well. And also, I have noticed through my astrological work that the second house, because it is Taurus, and Taurus does have a lot to do with the body, the second house can affect our health as well. So Mercury retrograde there. Aquarius, just want to be mindful of your health, what you're eating. Taurus is eating. I'm just going to be honest that Pisces does rule poisoning in medical astrology. So watch out for food poisoning, expired food, what you're ingesting. Good time to maybe do a cleanse, do some clean eating, watch out for your health, and drink really clean water. Sending lots of love your way, Aquarius, and have a very happy Mercury retrograde. Of course, last but not least, we've got our magical Pisces, stars of the show. Pisces, you have this Mercury retrograde happening in your sign. Okay, so if you have any placements from 22 to 8 degrees of Pisces, you will be having this Mercury retrograde exactly conjunct your placements. This is a time to, yes, watch out for miscommunication, things going missing, plans changing, possible travel issues, all that kind of stuff. But Pisces, this is a great opportunity, as I talked about earlier in this video, to make time for deep rest, creativity, reflection, rejuvenation, and healing, in particular with this in your first house, having to do with how you show up in the world and your physical body, okay? So for some of you guys can feel, whoa, kind of weird, Mercury retrograde conjunct your Pisces placement. Don't make any major big decisions. Be very careful with communication, what you're putting out online, anything you're signing, all that kind of stuff. But great time to take a step back, pause, relax, reflect, meditate, pray, do divination, all that kind of stuff, because there's a lot of actually clarity and healing that can come through behind the scenes, okay, for how you're going to show up and who you are moving forward. Sending lots of love your way, Pisces. And okay, we've gone through all 12 signs, the whole collective astrology. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for joining me. Wishing us all a very happy, magical Wonderland Mercury in Pisces. I will be with you guys the whole way through here on my YouTube, Rumble, and over on my membership as well at megmoonbeam.com. Thank you so much for joining me. Please remember to like, share, subscribe. And if you would like to check out any of my personal astrology readings, my membership, webinars, courses, all my offerings are available in the description box below. Lots of love to you guys and see you soon.